pleasant Thursday, and welcome to the final week of racing during this thoroughbred season here at Lone Star Park. I'm Jim Byers alongside Rodney Nelson. Rodney, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here today on a Thursday.
Yeah, it's good to be back to a 4-day week. Sunday we'll wrap things up, but we're coming off a nice weekend with some good Texas breds on Sunday and regular Turf Festival stakes on Saturday. That was some really interesting racing, and a trainer, Jose Camejo, that won one of the races here on Saturday. He's already made a big splash at Saratoga. Fairly new trainer on the scene, and if you make a splash at Saratoga, you're making a pretty big splash.
Yeah, that's saying something when you're jumping in that pool, right?
No doubt. We've got 8 coming up to a handicap for you today, 8 live races. Let's get right into it, starting with a video. Now, Rodney and I disagree on our top picks on the first race. Esperanza Rose, the 10, I think is going to be a heavy favorite. But let's watch this race in its entirety from June 11th. Esperanza Rose is in the 1 hole. Now, watch the 1 break here. I think that's called missing the break. That's a term that I didn't used to like, but now I'm kind of fond of it. I think she missed the break pretty bad there going 5/8. But what I liked here, Rodney, is she's outside the 2 right now, and she's making a really aggressive move under Christian Torres, who rides her again today. She's going to move right up into contention here. She's going to wind up running second here behind Expect the Boss, but I like the energy that this filly showed after a rough start, and now she's going to be outside of Expect the Boss, the eventual winner, the Steve Asmussen trainee. Expect the Boss just kind of found a field she could beat here and just kind of steps away from them. She shrugged off Expect the Boss, did a 45-1 shot challenging her early, and now is off to the races through the stretch. But Esperanza Rose, the gray filly, off that race where she does hold second by about 1.5 lengths over another of the runners in here, Jimena. I thought that was a pretty solid race for her. She's going to be a heavy favorite. She's got to get out well. You hope that isn't a trend, but she's going to be a favorite for Diodoro on the outside. I'm taking her. Rick's taking her, and we'll see how it fares here. This is a Texas bred maiden special weight race, 5/8 on the turf. Sometimes those can go a lot of different ways, but I'm going to go ahead and take her. I see you're leaning for a firster.
Yeah, so, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, right? So Esperanza Rose, big favorite right now. I mean, she's up there at, 7-5 it looks like currently.
Yeah, but they haven't moved off the morning line yet,
it's super early, right? But one thing that you can see, just because we got this TV monitor in front of us, and one thing that I like to look at is during these races is I look at the wheel pays, the exacta wheel pays, right? So right now, looking at the exacta wheel pays, my horse, the number 9, is the favorite in his exacta wheel pays. So the horse is taking some money in the exotics early on. But extra spicy. I mean, first-time starter for Karen Jacks. Rudy Garrett gets the mount today. He's already won close to 20 races so far this meet. In this first-time starter right here, had a nice workout back on the 14th of June. I think there's something to be said for that little over 48-second workout just a few weeks back. In this field right here, other than the 10, there wasn't really a whole bunch that I really liked. These horses have gotten beat by double digits in pretty much every race. I don't like that, so I'm not afraid to reach in a large field like this, a field of 10, and take that first-time starter. That is the number 9, Extra Spicy, over Esperanza Rose, the 10. And then I've got the 6, LL Cool Gray, as my third selection here. This is a horse last time out, ran 7th. 5th before that, but this horse was competing in those maiden special weight races. A lot of the other ones here came out of some claiming races, had some shots at claiming in there for the tag, but I'll take LL Cool J. Jalen Clary, the horses that she's been sending out recently have been looking very nice out there on the track and winning some races, or coming in at least hitting the board, so I will take the 6 LL Cool Gray as my third choice here in the opener.
And that's an interesting trainer change, because Austin Gustafson had that filly before, and this is the first time Jalen has sent her out. Interesting trainer change there to go from one of the top barns to a very emerging barn in Jalen Clary's that's had a very nice meet. I do have LL Cool Gray second over Extra Spicy, so Extra Spicy's work on the 14th really does tip her off as one that could be quite a factor here, especially if the favorite doesn't break. Second race, scratch the 1, Tale of Atreides, In race number 2, maiden $25,000 claiming fillies will go 5.5 furlongs.
So I'm going to take the horse on the far outside. That is the 8, Go to the Window. This is what you should do on this horse right here. First-time starter for Brett Calhoun. Jose Alvarez has the mount. These two guys have teamed up fairly well on some firsters. Brett Calhoun definitely wins some races out here. I think this horse is going to show some speed from the outside. I'll take the horse on top. Over number 7, Forever Family. 2 starts for this horse that's trained by Danny Pish. Last time out, a solid second, missing by 4 1/4 lengths though, but was able to get up there for second. And if you take a look at how far Forever Family was in front of the third place horse, 12 lengths, right?
That's
so the first 2 in that race were well ahead of the rest. I think Forever Family can have a good run here. Number 4, Sing It Bessie is going to be my third choice here. 2 starts for this horse as well. Neither one of them did the horse show a very good finish in that race, but this is going to be the first time that Sing It Bessie is in for a tag. That first start for the horse was in a stakes race out here in the Panzeretta division of the TTA Stakes. Finished 9 of 11, followed that back up with a 7 of 9 finish in a maiden special weight. So maybe that being in for the claiming tag will help out Sing It Bessie tonight.
Yeah, these 2-year-olds starting to get a little bit of racing experience behind them. I went with Forever Family. I don't love the pick. I mean, Adamoy Girl, the filly that beat her last time, was a nice-looking winner, but, Forever Family was 4 to 5 or 9 to 10 odds if you prefer to win that race, and was 4 1/4 lengths back at the end. She was a mile in front of the rest of them, but this was kind of a hold your nose and pick her type situation. Go to the Window is intriguing. The only thing that scared me off her a little bit was the work tab is kind of blah, but and this is interesting too, because that CM where she was training, if you have a racing form, you can see some works that go way back earlier in the year, back into the spring. That's a place called the Classic Mile in Ocala, Florida. Fred Hooper, the legendary Florida owner, used to have that property, and it's been with somebody else since the 80s. Now it's up for sale. It's a big, huge training center that they built thinking it might be a racetrack someday. It didn't turn out. But the dam of Go to the Window winning Saga did produce one other pretty useful runner, mostly in Maryland, 6-time winner. So in the fast lane, one note about her, the 3, they tried to run her on June 26th. She ran off in the post parade and was scratched. So be alert, maybe keep an eye on her behavior. In the fast lane's debut, was really, really bad, but there's no reason she can't improve a lot. They thought she might run. She was 8 to 1 that day. She might run a little bit at least, but in her debut, and then she ran off in the second race. Third race, Texas bred maiden special weights, 1 mile.
So I'll take the horse on the far outside, number 10, Running the Red, will be my top choice here. A 5th last time out, but before that was in a state-bred maiden race. Did all right, finishing second in that one, missing by 3 1/2. Came in right behind Mr. Nightblinger, who was one of those Jalen Clary horses that ran very well. So I'll take Running the Red as my top choice. Number 9, God's Gold, a bit of a price on this one. 15 to 1 on the morning line for God's Gold. 3 starts for this horse, but every start this horse has improved the placing. Now, those all came at the maiden claiming level for the 15,000. Is in this straight maiden race tonight, so we're going to see how it turns out for God's Gold. But I think if you're looking for a long shot, this is one that you can roll the dice on right here and turn out with a nice score if this horse is able to cross that finish line first. And then I'll take number 8, Victor Valentino, as my third selection. Horse just missed last time out. That was at 1 mile, but it was over on the turf course. Ran third in that one, missing by just a neck. A solid second before that at 7 furlongs, missing by half a length. Was in for the tag that day. Going to try these maidens again and see what happens to Victor Valentino, but I think this could be a very nice horse. I've got it 10, 9, and 8 here in race number 3.
One note about 10, Running the Red. He will be ridden by Gerardo Mora tonight, not Garrett Steinberg. I went with Victor Valentino. That last race, he was checked sharply, as the comment indicates, and I counted. It was about 16 strides that the rider was, that Iram Diego was hard on the brakes around the clubhouse turn and onto the backstretch. Now, he still ran on and ran a pretty decent third. His turf figs appear to be a little bit better of late than his dirt numbers. I have trouble going with horses like Running the Red that are 0 for 22. We've seen some of those win this year, And I had a winner last year with, I think his name was Remember Me Tony, that I think was 0 for 15 or 0 for 16. But, running the red has a lot of credentials to win this race, but he's had a lot of chances as well. So I slipped in Texas Trilogy as the second pick. Never been on dirt. Always been on turf through all those maiden tries here and at Sam Houston. I don't know how this horse is going to fare on the dirt, but some of his turf races were decent. So I went 8, 4, 10. And I have God's Gold fourth. I agree. God's Gold could definitely be a long shot to consider in the mix. Let's move on to the fourth. Get to the halfway point of this Thursday card. 7.5 furlongs on the turf. $30,000 filly claimers.
So I got number 9, 3 Wicked Wishes, as my top choice here in race number 4. This mare, trained by J.R. Caldwell, has had a pretty, I would say, a fairly decent year. Hasn't been able to pick up a win yet in 2022, but, has 3 on the board finishes out of 4 tries in 2022. 2 of those starts came down at the fairgrounds where she ran a solid second in a claiming race down there for the $20,000 tag. Last 3 races have all been on the turf for this horse, so something to like there. Hit the board in all 3 of those. Last 2 races are right out here at Lone Star and some starter races. In for the tag for $30,000 tonight. We'll see what happens with 3 Wicked Wishes, but I love that turf record. 9 starts, has 3 wins, a couple seconds, and a couple thirds. So that's 7 out of 9. This horse has finished in the money on the turf. Out here at Lone Star, and the 2 starts this horse is at out here, a second and a third to show for it. Maybe picks up the win in this one. I'll go ahead and take 3 Wicked Wishes on top. Number 3, Shakara, is going to be my second choice here. I think I've picked this horse like 3 times so far this year. Won once on me. That was 2 starts back. Horse was claimed for $15,000. Followed that back up in another race for $15,000. That was 7.5 furlongs, just like we're running here on the turf. A good second in that one. Stuart Elliott's aboard tonight. Steve Asmussen trains. I think there's a lot to like about Shakara. And then the number 6, Racy JC, is going to be my third selection. This is a horse that came out and beat Shakara last time. I'm looking for a flip-flop of those results. Did have that win last time at 7.5 on the grass, just like we're running here. The last time that this horse ran on the turf before that was so far back I can't see it in my program here. But did pick up a third in that race. So out of the grass races, a win and a third in those 2 grass races. So maybe this 4-year-old filly is ready to get back on the turf. That's the number 6, Racy JC. I've got it 9, 3, and 6 here.
Yeah, I'm 9, 3, 6 as well. One note about that Racy JC race, you mentioned the previous turf race for her was August 7th of last year. The form download PPs has it. It was at Evangeline, a non-winners of 2 race. Had the lead in the stretch, wound up third, beating a length at 3-2 odds. Didn't earn a real big buyer, but she's coming off a career best. Loved this local layout in her first try on the local turf, but it's hard for me to take a filly coming off a career best to try to duplicate that effort, especially stepping up in claiming price. No reason, she couldn't necessarily have gotten a lot better. But I went with 3 Wicked Wishes as well. Kind of a sort of an obvious selection, and sometimes those scare me a little because we have nights where the obvious doesn't necessarily.
Especially when our top 4 is the exact same here in this race.
That's pretty.
If it was that easy, nobody would make any money in this game, right?
And Rick. The only difference with us and Rick is Rick threw Holy Creed in there third, and otherwise picks are all the same. Let's move to race 5. Non-winners of 2 claimers for $7,500, going 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, nice field of this one, a field of 13 for race number 5. I've got the number 8, Motion Picture, as my top choice here. Horse ran in a non-winners of 2 last time for the $25,000 tag. Ran fairly well on that one, finishing second, just beaten by a length and a quarter. Taking that sharp drop here in for $7,500 tonight. I think we're going to see this horse get out there and, I'm going to say, run away from the field, but come about 8:28 tonight. Might be eating my words, but Motion Picture. This is one of those horses that you see has gotten claimed a few times. Yeah. I like horses like that. I mean, I'm not the best at picking out race horses, one that I want to own for next time out, but these guys are. When I see horses changing hands like that, tells me that people want to own this horse, want to run well. And if you look at the owner, Clark Brewster, I mean, he's got a ton of great horses too with Steve Asmussen. So this is one I'm sure they were looking at and when they got him at Hot Springs. Threw him out here, ran second in that race last time. Let's drop him down in class a little bit, see if we can't pick up the W. I think the 8 gets it done here. Number 2, Excellency is going to be my second selection. Not a very good showing last time. Finished 9th in that race, beaten by 5.5 out of an 11-horse field. But the race before that was fairly solid at the $25,000 level, finishing 3rd in that one. I mean, this horse broke its maiden at first asking down at the fairgrounds. Since then, the last 2 races have been on turf, so horse is going to get back to a dry, fast track tonight. Should be pretty good for this horse. I think Excellency can have a good run. And then number 10, Heavenly Trump, will be my 3rd selection. This one coming off a win last time. Won that race by 3 3/4 lengths. That was a maiden $7,500 race. So stepping up a little bit here, facing winners for the first time. But those last 3 finishes for Heavenly Trump have all been on the board, a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd. Horse seems like it's moving in the right direction. So we'll see if this big long shot at 30 to 1 on the morning line can't get in there and help some of those exotic payouts.
I have to say, in the interest of, because the past performance line looks crazy for Heavenly Trump to go from 9.5 back to a win by 3 3/4. A horse was going to win that race by about 6 or 7 and hit the inner rail, unseated the rider, and so horses that were way back wound up looking on paper like they closed enormous amounts of ground. So that's the one thing I point out about him. And there's somebody else running, I think maybe tomorrow, that's in the same boat where it looks like, oh man, this horse must have been flying. Well, actually not. A horse was cruising to an easy win and hit the rail. So that was the deal with him. But, I'm going to try to beat Motion Picture for 2 reasons. Number 1, any Asmussen that doesn't work in the last month, I pretty much automatically throw out, at least from win consideration. The other is, this horse has been claimed a lot, which is usually a good sign, but he was claimed for 40 and then got claimed away for 25. So whoever claimed him the last time for 40, Diodoro, was willing to lose him for 25 and did. Then Steve claimed him for 25 and he's offered him for 75. I don't know. I mean, the for sale sign is just in neon. They've got a searchlight out above the 5th race saying, please buy Motion Picture. Now, he may still, on form, he should gallop. But I'm going to take Excellency. You have to look a little bit to find his main track races because he has campaigned on the turf 3 of his last 5 outings. But, his last sprint on the main track was a win. I'm going to give him a shot dropping out of non-winners of 2 allowance horses over Motion Picture and G Victory. We'll see. You and Rick are both going for the dropping down favorite, so usually that doesn't bode well for me, but we'll see. We'll have to go out and run the race and see what happens. We got a scratch out of the 6th race, number 10, Lava Bomb. He's going to be going either tomorrow or the next day. This race, 5.5 furlongs, and Lava Bomb was Rick's long shot. I see you're going for Mac Be Quick. I'm going for Rift Valley. I'm a Bling Cat, certainly. I thought you might pick I'm a Bling Cat because you do kind of like J.R. Caldwell. But Mac Be Quick, aptly named. He's very fast.
Yeah, I like Mac Be Quick. This is a horse that we've seen run out here twice so far this year.
You got to love his record.
Yeah, this horse has had a great year so far. 5 starts here in 2022, has 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 3rd. Those wins were back-to-back wins. Got one of them on the turf at Sam Houston. Came out here and ran 5 furlongs in the non-winners of 3 allowance. Won that race by a length in the quarter. Followed that back up when the most recent race was the Wayne Hanks Memorial Stakes. Ran 3rd of that one, but look, we ran behind Algebra.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's a J.R. Caldwell horse. Yeah. And he always tells me, I always pick against Algebra. Every time I pick the horse, he loses, so I don't pick Algebra anymore. He should be happy with me now. But Mac Be Quick, David Cabrera has the mount today for Mindy Willis. We saw David get in the winner's circle last week, I believe, his first weekend back riding since the Stakes
in the race
too,
for
right?
Camejo, I believe. Yeah.
So not bad. He's picking up where he left off. I think that Mac Be Quick, this horse is very quick. We see him likes to lead the race most of the way around the oval. I'm going to go ahead and take this outside horse as my top choice over the 6 James Gang. 10-1 morning line on this one. Anytime I see Asmussen Stewart Elliott at double digits or more, I got to put some money on these horses. I mean, only 2 starts for this 3-year-old gelding by Dialed In. I mean, at first asking was back at the beginning of June, ran a solid third in that race. That was a maiden special weight. Followed that back up, won that race. That was back at the beginning of this month. Won it by 2 1/4. I like it. I'll go ahead and take James Gang at some pretty decent odds here in this one. Hopefully some decent odds here in this one. And then number 7, Mr. K is going to be my third choice. This horse just missed last time by a neck. We'll see if a repeat performance like that one, I think this horse is able to get up and hit the board. Ronnie Craven's having a good year out here. A lot of on-the-board finishes, making some money. Lone Star Racing Club owns this one. I'll take number 7 as my third choice here in the 6th.
It's a super wide open allowance event. They're going 5.5 here, and I really wanted to pick Macby Quick myself, but despite the fact this is a short sprint, there's so much speed in here, I decided to go with a closer. And that closer is Rift Valley,
nice.
Who comes in off of an effort where he got claimed away from Caldwell last time, just got up by a nose, has been in pretty good form. A bunch of these have been in good form. Macby Quick's had a great year. I'm a Bling Cat. There's really nothing to knock about I'm a Bling Cat. I mean, his main track sprints, dating back to the spring against Arkansas breds are dynamite. But I wound up on the 8, just hoping for a little bit of a price. I went 8, 9, 12. And James Gang is an interesting one to bring out because he does have a work that appears in the form but not the program. It was 47 and 4. It was the fastest of the morning on July 16th here. So Steve had this horse out and going a half mile in 47 and 4. Best of 43 on July 16th. Doesn't appear, I don't think, in the program.
It's not in mine, but it makes me like the horse a little bit more now.
So he's, James Gang definitely could be a factor off that. Okay, on to the 7th. This one is one I would definitely consider sort of a raffle. A mile and 1/8 on the turf. Filly allowance, scratch number 7, Vision of Wild Times. That takes a little bit of the speed out of this, but there still is a fair amount of speed in here.
There he is. I'm going to take one of these horses that should be right up there toward the lead. That's number 4, Colors of the Wind. If I remember right, I had this horse picked a couple weeks ago and scratched out of a race. So this is the next time we see her. But I remembered I was excited to watch Colors of the Wind get back on the racetrack. 2 starts back, this horse broke her maiden at Sam Houston Race Park. That was 1 mile on the turf course. Followed that back up with another mile race right out here at Lone Star Park. That was a non-winners of 2 allowance race. Was up there right with the lead most of the way around the oval. Ended up third in that one, beaten by 4.5. But you know what? I'm thinking of Colors of the Wind, with having that experience running on the turf, a lot of turf races, being able to route and having some pretty good route races, I'll take Colors of the Wind here on top. Number 6, Aunt Jim is going to be my second choice. Last time out, this horse ran 7th, but take a look before that, a solid 2nd. That came at the 1 mile distance out here at Lone Star Park. This horse has finished in the money or in the exacta 2 out of 4 tries on the turf. I'll go ahead and give this horse a little bit of a shot here in race number 7. And then number 2, Optimistic Cowgirl, 15-1 on the morning line. I'm going to go ahead and take this horse as a long shot here in race number 7. Last time out, this horse tried 7.5. That was in that Danny Shiflett Scholarship Stakes, a mouthful. Finished 9th in that race out of 11. Just didn't have it that day. Was in the back from the get-go. 2 races before that, this horse was able to close well in both those races. Both of them coming right out here at Lone Star Park on our turf course. So if this horse can close like those previous 2 races I talked about, this one could wind up in the winner's circle, and it'd be a pretty big upset if she was in there, and could be a good way to end race number 7.
Yeah, I really think this race is relatively wide open in here. I think Glitterary is going to take some money, but I think it's been proven that she does not like hard turf. She tends to run much better on softer or more a little bit less speedy turf courses. So I threw her out. In fact, Rick has her second, but you didn't use her. I didn't use her. I'm going for a long shot here in Tahitian Breeze simply because of the fillies she's been facing. I mean, No Mas Tequila, who was so strong the other day, won the last race she was in. Tahitian Breeze was 74-1 in that race, so not expected to do much. Ran a reasonably respectable 6th out of 11. You just look down the beaten company. Bernie, I'm a Lucky Charm. She Sky's the Limit. No Mas Tequila again. I mean, really, ever since she came to this region, or not, ever since she came back to this region from a few races at Monmouth last year, I mean, she's been in against some of the best Texas-bred fillies you could find. Now, she's not facing Texas-breds here, but I'm going to give her a look from behind here over Stella Czar, who I think might be forwardly placed, and Aunt Gem and Colors of the Wind. Aunt Gem really disappointed me last time, but, you know, as soon as you start discounting those Asmussens, they
could jump up and get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like every time I leave them off a pick 4 ticket, that's why I lose it.
Exactly.
And every time I want to kick myself for not putting the horse in there.
That can be dangerous. Okay, this is an interesting way to wrap it up. Got a field of 10 with a couple of scratches. Have reduced the field to 10 here in this Texas-bred maiden 2-year-old filly race. Take out the 5 Sky Tizzy and the 12 Candy Bee, who really factored in here, but she is now out.
Yeah, I had the 12 here in my picks. I thought this horse was definitely going to be a big factor here in the nightcap. But since she's out, I would go a different way, and I went with number 8, Is a Tiz.
Oh, yeah. We actually have a video to show, but do your picks first because the video doesn't involve either of our top picks.
All right, Is a Tiz going to be my top choice here. This 2-year-old filly, the only time that she stepped foot on the racetrack in a race was in the Panzeretta division of the Texas Stallion Stakes. Ran a good second in that one, missing just by a head. Was able to beat Twisted Braid, who's in this race as well. I think that Is a Tiz, this horse, after finishing well in that stakes race, is going to come on in, hopefully break her maiden here in this one. 6, Twisted Braid, the one I was just talking about that Is a Tiz came in front of last time. I like that this horse ran well in her debut. Follow that back up with a pretty good finish in that stakes race. And then the number 9 is going to be my third selection, Hop On In. 2 races for this horse, both of them maiden special weights. That last time out, horse ran 4th, but was only beaten by a length. Had to steady in that race, it says, at the 8th pole. So I think with a better run, this horse cruises on by and hits the board.
You mentioned Hop On In. We're going to show a piece of video here in a moment that involves a filly that came out of her race, Just 'Cause I Can, the one, who's my second pick. I like Is a Tiz as well. Her last rally was really, really good. I think she can improve off that. If you like Hop On In, her start was relatively uneventful, but it was not for Just 'Cause I Can, who's in the 2-hole here. She's in post position 2. Just 'Cause I Can is going to kind of spin her wheels at the start and then get bumped. And she's in the white silks, and now she gets bumped and brushed. And we're just going to let this run for a few more seconds. You can see from the past performance line, from the early going there, this was a 5.5 furlong race. She dropped straight back out of it. I mean, she was 13 lengths back at the first point of call, and the past performance line says the rest. I mean, look how far back that filly in white is, next to last. She winds up beating only 3 parts of a length in this race. So, Just 'Cause I Can, I didn't like her enough overall in the totality of the race to pick her over Is a Tiz, but that was a really rough start. It was slow. She was spinning her wheels. She got bumped, shuffled back, closed well, as you can see from the PP line. So I threw her in for second over Twisted Braid. Hop On In that race closed good ground as well. That race kind of fell apart late. Hop On In closed good ground that day as well. And Hop On In a second time Lasix today. Sometimes that's important. So interesting way to wrap it up. Is a Tiz might end up a pretty heavy favorite now with Candy Bee out of that race. But, if Is a Tiz doesn't move ahead off of her Panzeretta race, boy, this 8th race could be wide open. Could be a really interesting way to wrap up the card.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's going to be a fun one anyway. Yeah. 8 races tonight on a Thursday night, last week of the season.
Yeah.
I was going to say we have for those of y'all that are here on track tonight, Got a lot of great memorabilia items, golf-related stuff. Silent auction is going on the first floor of the grandstand on the east side of the grandstand. What this silent auction is going to benefit the Racetrack Chaplaincy of Texas. Every year we hold a great golf tournament at the end of the season. It's going to take place Monday. This is kind of the let's get the golf tournament started. Let's raise some money for the Racetrack Chaplaincy of Texas. So stop by and visit the ladies on the first floor of the grandstand. Like I said, there's some good items, some nice autographed memorabilia. I went and found a Fred Stone print of Smarty Jones and Stuart Elliott earlier. Walked back in the jocks room, got Stuart to sign it. So there's a signed Fred Stone print of Stuart Elliott on Smarty Jones from 2004. Golf balls, clubs, all kinds of stuff that you could want down there.
Yeah, and the Racetrack Chaplaincy is such a great cause, offering counseling and support for the backstretch workers, without whom none of us have a sport to play or jobs. So we owe them a lot. So the Racetrack Chaplaincy, a great cause to support those folks. So be sure to check out the silent auction, and you can donate to the Racetrack Chaplaincy whenever. I've done that in the past as well. All right. 8 races coming up, 6:35 the first post. Thanks a lot, Rodney. We'll be back again tomorrow here in this space to look at tomorrow's races. Until then, good luck tonight.
First home here at Lone Star Park.